All right, everybody. Hope you enjoyed the food. We're going to move on with the last presentation for today. Kim from City Network on an OpenStack live demo. So, Kim.
Thank you. Hope you all enjoyed Miss Piggy. Well, I'm just going to mention a quick words about the background of OpenStack. It was a project started by NASA and Rackspace. And NASA has withdrawn from OpenStack because it was too unstructured. So welcome to the world of open source. So I can understand that. So anyway, I was approached by the OpenStack Foundation looks like a long time ago right now, because I was involved with this other crazy ass project called Android. At that time we were 15 people who had the initiative of Android. So we had this crazy idea. And the OpenStack people thought, okay, this guy can sort of bring some order in this chaotic sense. And they asked me if I could join them. Let me just tell you that I dropped out of OpenStack by the release of Cactus. So I'm back in now, but I've been out for a while. OpenStack has a lot of contributing members, and it's called the most successful open source project ever. I will still think Android is a bit more successful, but just a small bit. The reason why OpenStack works, even though it's open source, all these companies give a shitload of full-time employees to contribute only to the OpenStack. So this is very unique. Of 21,000 coders who contribute, more than half of them are full-time employees working with this solely. So the companies invest a lot, and you see it's interesting big names. A bit of them. This one is nice. But like I said, you have some really interesting companies here, like VMware, that you can imagine, why would they contribute in an open source project that are in direct competition to what they're selling, licensed software? But they still contribute with a lot with lots of people. Before we go into live demo, even though everyone says here they know OpenStack, I'm just going to go really quickly through the basics so we all have the same definition of what we're talking about. We start with hypervisors. The project started with this initiative that why should it be any difference from a virtual image? A virtual machine is a virtual machine is a virtual machine, regardless of what hypervisor has created it. So we thought, couldn't there be some good things if we could manage this from a single set of APIs that was unified? Because a virtual machine needs pretty much the same management, regardless of if it's Linux, KVM, if it's VMware, if it's you want to start it, you want to deploy it, you want to put network to it, you want to increase the disk, decrease the disk, you want to put in more CPU or less CPU. That's pretty much the same. So we wanted to have a unified set of APIs that could use it. So this is OpenStack. So OpenStack is not a hypervisor. It uses hypervisors. You have the image service, Glance, in OpenStack. It handles images, so you can launch them. You need, of course, computing. That's Nova. Nova is the biggest project module in OpenStack today by far. And that's because it handles the running machines. So that gives the power to them. You have, that's we talked about, storage, of course. You have different types of storage, but we have Swift and Cinder. And we have the networking. Where's the networking, guys? Neutron. Then you have Keystone as an identity management that surrounds everything. And you have Horizon as a dashboard to have a user interface for everything. Now, if you want a live demo, I'm not going to show you Horizon because we at City didn't like Horizon. Okay, I will show you a bit of Horizon, but you've seen a bit. You have internet connection here, Russ? Yes, there we go. Okay. Horizon, yeah, just basic of a bit of the UI in Horizon. What we made thought of City is we didn't really like the Horizon user interface, so we built our own. And well, reasons of this plenty, but if we look at the type of customers as a public cloud provider we had, we need a user interface that's not too techy. Because I think either you need it extremely simple for the guys who just want to pay a server with credit card and launch it, then it can't be too techy. And the techy people, like all in this room, they don't want a user interface at all. They want the command line interface anyway. So this is what we did. Okay, servers, launch server. Like I said, Nova. We have the networking part. So let's start by, sessions, log out. Okay, let's start by building a network. And
Could you zoom a bit?
okay, it's too small. Yes, I agree. This better? Okay, everyone. This is part of the stuff. What we want to do, like I said, here in City Network, as we're demoing live from City, we have 3 zones. That's or computer centers, pretty much. That's where we can launch. So we have the infrastructure standing. One big idea with OpenStack is vendor independence. One vision we had was that in the future we have a dream at City anyway to add zones here that's per private cloud. So you can bring your own private cloud as a zone into OpenStack and unify it with the hybrids of public and private clouds. So you can launch and manage images in your own VMware setup on premise, as well as City Cloud. And of course, we want to hybrid with the other public clouds like Windows Azure and Amazon. When we have unified APIs, you can do everything that OpenStack provides APIs for. So VMware has a really, really great management capabilities where you can translate OpenStack API calls to the vSphere calls and back again in an excellent way. So this is something we are looking forward to for more and more. So that's something we see one of the big reasons with this OpenStack. Okay, back to networking part. You see, it's simple enough. You create a network, you can place it, you can decide a bit, you can pretty much make your own subnets, and you can define a really lot of good stuff. Now it's a 15-minute demo, so we're just going to move along pretty well. Like you see, OpenStack provides more and more great capabilities out of the box with routing, with floating IPs. Floating IPs is you can detach it and attach it to different hosts. So you can keep the IP address and run it against different clusters. And VPN, like I said, storage. You can make a volume if you like it. Back. Same. put it in a data center, you can set it up. I hope I don't exceed my quota. One thing I like with volumes here in OpenStack is that they are easy to move between data centers. So you can have a good disaster recovery setup with volumes. You can create volumes in one data center, snapshot them, and have them as living as a backup in another data center. Then you only pay for the storage. Like I said, public cloud, we are a pay-as-you-go type sense of thing. And if you don't use the computing, so if you have machines but they are turned off, you don't pay for the computing resources, and that's the most costly thing. So you only pay for storage if you have volumes backed up at another data center. So here all of a sudden you have a good backup service at another geographical location if you want it. And this is of course something we're looking forward to getting as well from hybrids with private clouds. But like I said, it shouldn't matter if you use VMware on one end in one data center, and if you use KVM in another, and if you use Hyper-V in another. You should be able to manage it all from one central point. A bit of storage. Let's go back to servers, and then you have security groups. This is the keystone part of things. The security part, the identity part. You can define security groups and put servers into it. And just want to show you quickly. No, sorry, that's bad. It's better if I show you this. You can set rules in the security group so they can act as a bit of a firewall. It's not a complete firewall, so they're looking into firewall as a service, but you can define a bit of outgoing and inbound set of rules. So you do have really good possibilities to put up, well, a really good web environment, development environment, test environment, without moving outside the scope of OpenStack at all. This is, of course, you can decide the direction, inbound, outbound, so you can set inbound rules. You can define the scope, so you can set that it should only reach certain networks, and you can, of course, use either IPv4 or IPv6. Let's look at just the default rules. You see, default rules is in and out, any. Will be tricky if we block it by default. We have servers, and we have create server. Like I said, this library we're seeing, if we boot from image here, that's this is Glance, the image library. We can start and create a server. You can see packages here. This is the tricky part when you if you don't provide a internet-facing machine, and if you forget that, it will be tricky on Linux machines to install packets. We don't have a local repository, but that's something. You see here, it's easy enough to manage with OpenStack to provide the certain amount we want to, with cores, size, volume. If the application you have on the machine supports it, you can change these settings live. This is not true on Windows, so beware, because you need to code a lot on your Windows applications if that's possible. But on Linux, it's easy enough. You can live change the resources, so you can do both vertical and horizontal scaling within OpenStack. That's pretty neat stuff for load balancing. Just want to show you, and as I said, if you have your defined networks here, you can see you can put them up pretty much, and as I said, security groups as well. And here you have the identity service. You can either use a key pair you define, or you can set credentials. And you have basic sense of, okay, too short password. These rules are of course set based on the image type. You have some basic image. And now we have a server. So, like I said, from Glance into Nova, that's actually where you launch the host itself. Add a network, that's Neutron. And then you can, of course, there we got the IP floating. And if I want to move this floating IP, you see this public IP I have, to another host, I can disconnect it, launch another host, and move it. If I want to attach a volume to this, let me try this one. See, I can attach interfaces, I can attach a volume. Attach volume. So I can have all my programming, all my applications pretty much stored at a volume, ready for use, and then can launch machines based on the same volume as well. And I can snapshot the entire machine. The difference between snapshotting and volume is a storage, just a drive, extra drive you put in. Snapshot, it comes with the computing information as well. So when you do a snapshot, you pretty much recreate IPs and the computing settings as well. Questions so far? This is just a live demo, so we're here just to show you what you want to see. Make a snapshot, launch a server from a snapshot. Like I said, there's a lot of ways to skin a cat. So you can launch servers from volumes, you can create snapshots, you can launch servers from images. They can all fulfill pretty much the basic same function, but you have a lot of different ways available to you to solve the problems that you need within your organization. Any questions? Yes?
Before you showed Horizon, do your customers actually get to choose if they use your sort of custom user interface or if they only use?
No, we use version 3 on the identity management, so we can't let our customers choose Verizon. Verizon doesn't support this this multi-tenant feature, so we wouldn't be able to block certain users from seeing other customers, and that's not good for us. for a public cloud provider, we need to have this zoning, this containerization of each customer working. Horizon is a bit more, I mean, OpenStack was built as open source, and it has a lot of different interests in mind. So Horizon is more for the making a private cloud, where you don't mind. you set up a bit of users for managing your own infrastructure, but when we want to have it shared, it has a different set of demands.
What version are you running?
What? Juno. So we intend to go to Kilo pretty fast, I would imagine. We want to be, and we're actually waiting for a lot of features that comes with Kilo that will solve a lot of our issues. So I think we will go to Kilo sooner than later.
How do you deploy? Do you use Puppet or Ansible, or what do you do to upgrade and manage your stack components?
I think that's a question for my colleague Magnus here.
Actually, custom scripts.
Hmm?
Custom scripts.
Yeah.
Fabric, microfabric.
Also, how do you like patching of the components?
Well, we have test environments. We do testing, and we patch it due to the fact we have some high availability functions, but we can patch parts, different parts, sometimes. The really big test there will be, of course, the actual great tool and work on that process as we speak, basically.
Can you repeat the question and the answer?
The question was, how do you deploy and how do you patch OpenStack and the different components?
And the answers were basically, the first answer was that we deployed through custom scripts built on Python Fabric. And the second answer was that, okay, we have test environments, we're doing tests when it comes to upgrading, and then due to some high availability functions, we're able to upgrade different parts of the environment at different times. But of course, the big challenge there will be to upgrade Kilo, and we're working on that process right now, exactly how that will be done live.
All right, any other questions for Kim?
More questions? Ask away.
What extra glue do you bring to the table? Like, what sets you apart from the other OpenStack providers, like Backspace or something? Extra functionality like DNS management?
Yeah, of course we have a lot of experience with handling DNS, being starting as a web hosting company, and we are Swedish registrars, so we can handle DNS records. This is not something that we've integrated into our OpenStack console directly. That comes in the Kilo release of being able to handle DNS directly in the OpenStack APIs. But we, of course, want to add our value. But I think our main value is that there are very, very few public cloud providers that use OpenStack. OpenStack has big deployments, but usually in the private cloud. We want to be able to provide our pay-as-you-go model in hybridization with private clouds. So you should be able to use your private cloud. We don't think you should go 100% all cloud immediately. I don't think that's a realistic view. There are private clouds and they are here to stay. Companies has bought a lot, invest a lot in hardware in their own data centers. We just want to pretty much attach them. But like I said, if you look at our servers, you have this that you can you can see the price of the server, what we will charge directly, so you have a pretty transparent view. So if I change RAM, CPU, storage, you can see the price change immediate. OpenStack has a very nice way of putting quotas into projects. So you can create a project where you launch servers. Here. And I have projects. I can create one. And this is a good way of keeping track. Aha, sorry. Limit. Okay. You see I have projects here already. And you can add quotas to projects as well. So you can give out access and give out user access to this console based on a project. So I can delegate administrations for projects only. So you can only work within their project. But then a development team is free to launch as many services as their quota allows. And this is, well, something where you can pretty much give out distributed, manageable access. Yeah.
One extra thing, I'm not sure if you mentioned it over here, but we're the only one in Europe who have multiple data centers. And we're the only one who have 2 centers in Sweden. So we can have, could you tell us a little bit about, maybe about that?
Yeah.
That's in regard to your question, what we bring to the table.
Yes. The thing is, if you're a public cloud provider, people usually say, oh, is it secure? And then you have 3 things you need to look at as a public cloud provider. It's where are the data stored, inside which borders? And people usually forget that this is not enough if you want to keep your data secure from the Patriot Act, from NSA, or this stuff. You need to have the legal presence as well. Microsoft is battling a lot in the US courts right now because they have given up. NSA has demanded that Microsoft release all data they have stored on Ireland. And Microsoft said, but that's stored on Ireland, that's not in the US. But the US court has decided that Microsoft is a US company and they have access, even if it is in Ireland, and then they're bound by US law to provide all data stored in that. So you need to have the physical presence, the legal presence, and the administrative access need to be people that are signing agreements within the legal compound of that zone. We are 100% Swedish. We're Swedish owned. All our administrators that have access are Swedish. So we are bound only by Swedish law. If a search warrant from a US court comes to us, we say, no, you don't have any jurisdiction over us. You need to go to the Swedish court. Of course, if a Swedish search warrant comes, that doesn't matter if you have the private cloud that in your own basement or if they come to us. That's the same. A search warrant is a search warrant for the Swedish court. But we're not bound by any other. And that's also something that, our personal information laws are a bit icky right now because they haven't been tried in court properly to see, are we allowed to send this type of information abroad or not? And what type of measures do we take? But if you want the ease of mind, we can provide the pay-as-you-go cloud model, the same as Amazon and Windows Azure, but within the Swedish compound. That's something that we are very different from others. More questions?
It's on the same manner that we have multiple data centers, which means that we have a wavelength between London, Stockholm, and Stockholm, which means that we can keep the data where you want to, and we can have the backup. For instance, if you have your active environment in Stockholm, you can have your passive environment in Karlskrona. So it's both in Sweden
and you don't pay a lot to have it in Karlskrona because you don't turn it on. As Kim was explaining, you don't have the computes are not running yet. So that's an extra benefit compared to our competitors in OpenStack environment, because we have it both in Sweden and we can have it active passive for the sheet handling. And the floating IP, of course, between the data centers.
Yes. We want to look at the
Last question.
dashboard.
Quick
Yes. Yeah, sure.
Do you support cloud? Can I
Yes.
my own cloud?
Yes. Yes. It's easy enough. Yes. More questions?
Do you have a? Yeah, sorry, here.
Yeah, sure.
Okay. So do you have a like a VMTK import tool?
Not,
Next question.
not exactly import tool. We have solutions, not automated ones, if we say that, or correct me if I'm wrong here, Magnus, but we do it, of course, but we don't have where you can upload and deploy easily. It's still, the dream is, of course, that you should be totally vendor independent. So you should pretty much take your OpenStack deployment at us and say, I want to move from City all to Azure, and then bloop, and every server is exactly the same, but in Azure. And then I want to move back again, and bloop, because we want that anyway, because we think there will be a net flow to us instead of from us. But of course, not everyone likes that idea. Like I think VMware has something a bit about that as well, because their license model will be under heavy siege then. Yeah.
We're trying to have like an onboarding plan if someone is in VMware or wherever to onboard to us. Of course, that's our plan.
Just let me show you. We have, of course, since we build our own console, we are able to intermix our own services as well as the OpenStack APIs. But you have an API here. One is our own City APIs that are for own, and then you have, of course, the ability to use command line interface with the native clients where you have. So I can pretty much set up a user that can launch from a native client towards any of the OpenStack services if I want to have command line interface.
Is it possible to move from first generation to OpenStack? I mean, if it's possible.
Of course, we want to do that. Of course, we're looking into solving that in a easy and sensible way, where you should be able to do it in the user interface. We don't have it right now.
It's not manually.
Yeah. So right now it's manually, but.
But you will keep the generation 1 servers up until no one's using them.
Yeah, I mean, the generation 1 servers of course works, and they will continue working, but we are of course hoping to migrate all into OpenStack as soon as possible. We just want to find a foolproof way. Like I said, there is a saying, as we system developers try and make more and more idiot-proof systems, the universe creates bigger and bigger idiots. And if you're a cloud provider, you can imagine that we want something pretty tested and foolproof for something as critical as migrating from generation 1 to and right now the best way is to do it manually, and people who really want them into OpenStack, you can actually do it yourself. We have the APIs for taking out and putting in images, so
But
that's
we don't
some.
have a plan to shut down generation 1.
No,
So if you want to keep it for now, it's not a problem.
it will keep running, of course.
So would this moving between clouds thing.
Yeah.
How certain are you that you would be able to solve that for $1 billion?
I will be able. I can solve the moving between clouds today.
Okay.
No problem. VMware has an excellent appliance, so I can put up and send OpenStack APIs to a vSphere appliance, and the vSphere will respond in turn. So I have this built in order for us to be able to do this. So we can put up vSphere appliances in our data center that talks to our OpenStack node, and then from that one, that vSphere appliance is connected to the customer private cloud. So it's vSphere that actually makes everything at the customer end. So the customers who are used in the private cloud to use VMware vSphere, they won't then notice any difference, but they can log in to our console and see both private and public clouds. When it comes to interacting with Amazon, Amazon is a huge contributor to OpenStack. So they already have great OpenStack APIs. It's just that a thing of having an account. We can't hijack customers' accounts. You have to provide it as a customer to us. It's not allowed. It's the same with Azure, but interconnecting, well, not a problem. This is something we can solve for customers. Any more questions? Anything else you want me to show you? That's, well, a bit tricky to see what should I be able to show you if you want a live demo. I mean, mostly...
Do you have any cool GIFs or animations?
No.
we could email them to you later.
We'll email it.
All right.
Yeah.
Thank you, Kim.
Yeah.